Hey guys, I made a separate video for the bee deployment, so please go check that out if you have some time as well. Otherwise, here's some more items around the homestead that we had this week.
Another item I'm trying to get done today is moving the compost bin, which used to be right there. And right now we're gonna put it on the corner of the wheat patch, right there. So this should be pretty quick. I'm just using post hole diggers. And then I have this old flower bed beam type thing. And then I have old pallet boards that I'll just use as the siding.
So we have some ducks coming in next week, and Ellen could not help herself, so she decided to go ahead and buy 2 ducks at the hardware store to add to the flock. This will be the first time we've had ducks, but we already have chickens and quail, and so why not add ducks? Apparently their eggs are really good for baking, so we're going to give that a try and see how that holds up. Right now we're just keeping these in the brood chamber, so they're enjoying it.
Well, I got the new compost bin done, and I moved all the dirt that we just set out here on the ground, or the compost. I moved it all back into this compost bin. I wasn't really aware of how good of dirt this has became. It's pretty full and rich, and it has a lot of really good nutrients now. I feel like over the winter it did a really good job at breaking down and staying a little bit moist, and I added a little bit of sand in there as well to give it a little better drainage than what we get with some of the soil here on the homestead. So I'm probably going to end up using some of this actually for gardening this year. I have a lot more plants that I intend to plant here pretty soon, so I'm definitely going to be using this and dropping it down on top as a fertilizer. So next order of business is going to be redoing the drain on the growth bed. Right now it's just 3/4 inch, but I want to expand that to 2 inches. So on Amazon I bought a 4-pack of bulkheads, 2-inch bulkheads, and they have this gasket here that will let us seal it up pretty well. So I'm actually going to use this in some way, either like that or maybe like that. But what that means is I need to drill an even bigger hole in here. Most likely a 4-inch hole, so I got a hole saw to do so. And I may regret doing this, we'll find out, but this will enable this growth bed to drain much quicker because this hole is significantly bigger. And so it'll drain a lot faster and it'll have a lot more flow. That's what I want. I want to have this tarp here still so I can cut it so that it has a really snug fit around the circumference. And generally what you do with these is cross cut here so that you can just lay your fitting down in there. So I'm gonna end up putting it in like this, and I think that'll fit, but I still have this gasket that I need to screw on to the bottom, on the bottom side. And so it's not long enough, the threading is not long enough to hold this gasket in place. So I actually have to drill into the wood a little bit to create a little bit of gap so that I can fit this on here. So that's why I have this 4-inch hole saw, so that it'll fit this gasket size. Alright, well I think I got it done. We got our start of the standpipe, and we have our new drain, and it doesn't look like it's leaking, and I don't have anything sealed up yet, so it would be leaking here right now if there was anything leaking. So let's see if it'll drain well. Well, looks like we do have a little bit of a leak. Okay. In fact, it's coming out of there too. There we go. It's draining very, very well. And I don't see any leaking on any of the fittings. I think it's just right here that it's coming out of. But I can put some thread tape on that eventually. So I think I'm going to leave it as is. I think I'm going to leave it as is and come back in about a week and see how it's doing. Alright guys, so I got the bulkhead set up and I have the start of the bell siphon going, or the standpipe for the bell siphon. And I actually had this screwed in here for about a day. And I have sort of the same thing on the underside, another fitting there, screw fitting into about 2 inches I think. And then we have a 3-inch fitting here. It goes to 3-inch. Then we have a 45 right here, and then another 45, which takes us out to the sump pump. Now this configuration is really important because it allows for a nice, easy flow of the water. I could maybe put a 90-degree in here, but it would actually hinder the flow of water a little bit. So this sweeping 45 enables that flow to really kick up and go, because technically there's some lips in here that might still slow it down. So I want to give it as graceful of a flow as possible, because I want this to drain as fast as it can. So I'm going to be putting these fittings together with a little bit of thread tape, and then I'm also going to be using some cement, all-purpose cement. Now this is rated for potability or for water and drinking water systems, and so this is going to be okay in this scenario, and it's also going to help seal up some of these fittings. I've ran this for about a day and I've been getting a little bit of dripping still out of this threading, so I'm gonna put some seal on there as well, and then just finish this out, and it's actually pretty much ready to go after I finish sealing. And then once I run this for a couple days, I think I should be good to start putting growth media in the growth bed. So whenever I brought the dirt over here, or the compost over here, it kind of dried out a bit. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of water here so that it has a little more moisture to start composting again. It should be getting warm enough that this thing's gonna explode, hopefully. We have this spigot that sits outside of our greenhouse, and I was wanting to tap off of it and actually run it up right here and then maybe put a line into the greenhouse. But I found this piece of PVC there acting as if there should be a T joint or T connector, but I don't see one. All I see is a 90-degree, so I need to figure out where this leads to. Hopefully it is the vineyard. So it's the next morning. We got the fittings sealed up, and it's a little dark down here, but I connected this T here. I had to do a repair here with a compressor sleeve, but this line, we found out where it ended up going to, and it's actually on the other side of the greenhouse. So it runs underneath going this way. So let's go to the other side of the greenhouse and see where it comes out at. It's actually right here. There's this PVC pipe that's sticking out of the ground. And so we turned the well water on out here, the main line on, and water started pooling up out of this. And so we found the PVC. However, this is encased in concrete. This whole thing right here is concrete. I don't have time to break this apart, so we're gonna scrap this, and we're actually not gonna use this. Unfortunately, I don't think this is something we have time to mess with this year. And who knows what that line looks like underneath the greenhouse. It could have cracks in it. Maybe that's why they encased it in concrete. Not really sure. So I'm actually going to cut this right here, this T here, and I'm going to put a cap on it. I'm going to cap it so that we just have this water line coming up. So this is the piping that I did on the side of the greenhouse. We have a ball valve here, a T here, and this 90-degree goes into the greenhouse and provides water in there. And then we have two connectors here for hoses. I'm gonna get some brackets to hold it up there. Well, I turned the water on, and the compressor sleeve ended up busting off, or at least this joint here wasn't tight enough. I don't really know. This is rated for like over 100 psi, so not really sure why it blew off. I wasn't really holding my breath for it, so I'm just gonna remove this and probably just make a coupling here, a 1-inch coupling. And since this can move, I'm a little more okay with putting a coupling in here. The reason I was using the sleeve is because I was teed off there. So I ended up capping that, and so I'm gonna put some coupling on this, and then probably start it up again in a couple days after it dries.